This video is meant to save you a lot of time and energy that you may have been spending if you didn't watch this video over the next months, years, and decades of your life. If you watch those videos also of the people on their deathbed that are like 90 or 100 years old, that are talking about the regrets, they're talking about what they wish they did differently, then you'll know that a lot of this has to do with how we're showing up in our life right now. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know, how you can really tap into who you came here to be, how you can learn what you need to learn so that you don't have to keep repeating the same cycles over and over and over again. Now, one of the first things I've learned about myself in this process is that my ego, I want to share with you a little bit about my journey of being who I was before I started on YouTube, what I've learned since then, and then also what I've even though I may have gotten success and gotten a lot of the things that I intended for, how empty some of it can feel and how I've completely transformed my life with a couple simple realizations. Now, one of the first things you'll notice that a lot of people say on their deathbeds is that they have a lot of regret. They have a lot of regret. They wish they would have done something a little bit different. I remember watching this one movie. I think it's called Becoming Bond. And it was the true story of this one guy that was an actor that was James Bond for only one or two movies. I think one movie. And he has a fascinating life story. It's this Australian guy that became Bond back in the 70s, the 80s. And then he ended up completely self-sabotaging himself and not wanting to be Bond at all. And he lived this really crazy life for a while. He was like this model guy that was traveling around in Europe, and he was sleeping with all these chicks and doing this cool rock star lifestyle. But there was this one moment where the thing that got him out to go to Europe was in Australia. There was this girl that he was dating, this rich girl that was the prime minister's daughter, and he was in love with her. And they end up moving, and he follows her to Europe. She kind of rejects him because she has a new boyfriend and stuff like that, because once she went to Europe, she eventually fell in love with somebody else or something. But eventually what happened, though, is they fell in love again. And then they were together, and they were living together, and everything was great. But then he got more and more modeling gigs, and he went to this one other place, and he ended up cheating on her. And when he cheated on her, she then immediately knew somehow, and they broke up. And it was this devastating thing where he realized that he's really screwed up. And then eventually also what happened is they got back together one more time, but then he had this opportunity to choose between her and going on this other modeling gig. And he chose the modeling gig, and that's when she left for good. She had enough. And he was 80 years old talking, and he's talking to the camera while there's this story that's getting played. And he goes into this energy to where he's my life would have been very different if I would have came home that day and stayed home with her that day. And you could just feel it so deeply, because you can tell that that was something in his life, that one choice that if he would have made differently would have completely changed the trajectory of his life. And in a similar way, I think that the regrets we have are many times around the things that we choose that may be more fleeting and shallow versus the things that are more deep and have depth. And I can tell in my own life now that I go through these phases where I'm focused on business, I'm focused on growth, I'm focused on the YouTube channel, I'm focused on these things. And even though it's part of my purpose, it's part of my passion, there's an element that I can feel that at the end of my life, I'm not going to be sitting, laying there on my deathbed thinking, wow, I wish I would have made one more video a week. Wow, I wish I would have done this other speaking event. I wish I would have gone out and done done things at a certain level you might want to be more adventurous, go skydiving and stuff like that, but in general, it's your relationships, I believe, that we're gonna really focus the most on. Is how did we impact the people in our lives? How did we make people feel? That's one of the things I think we will focus the most on. And we know that, or at least what near-death experiences show us, and I've had an NDE before, where I literally felt and had a life review. That was because I did DMT, though, not because I actually died. Well, I don't know, maybe my ego died. That was like back in 2011. And I literally had this experience of every single, I had this, the best way I can explain this is when I did this dimethyltryptamine is what it's called. There's like documentaries made about it called DMT, a spirit molecule. It's also what's in ayahuasca and other plant medicines. But there was this crumpled up piece of paper that would uncrumple. I would see and feel what I made somebody feel in my life in a specific scene. And then once I felt it and got the point, it would crumple back up and then crumple back out again so that I could see another scene. And I must have gone through that like hundreds of times, and I could feel what I made other people feel. And there were times I made it like other like ex-girlfriends feel a certain way. There were times I could feel the way I made people in my family feel. And it was a way of clearing that energy. But I can say that from experience, at the end of our life, we will feel what we've made other people feel. And the interesting thing about that is one thing we can ask ourselves in our own life is, are we putting out good into the world? Are we loving the people in our lives? Are we not taking them for granted? Are we living with this understanding of like what we put out is what we get back? So in my own life, something that I really focus on is I focus on putting out that good energy, and also even in my relationships, like how can I appreciate someone more? How can I not take them for granted? How can I, I get kind of stuck sometimes in my own business and what I'm doing, and I forget to reach out to family and stuff like that. And there's this understanding that like if I keep doing that, I'm going to really regret it at some point. So I think something to remember is like remind yourself, like how did you make other people feel? Did you make them feel seen, heard, and appreciated? Because that is what you're going to feel at a certain level in your either NDE and near-death experiences, doing plant medicine, or even just at the end of our life when we release that DMT and have that. So the thing that I've learned the most and that I always try to bring myself back to is this also understanding. It's going to get a little bit deep here for a second. But that's meditating that one day we are all going to die. Like we're here right now. And there's like this, almost this belief that we're always going to be here. And yes, in a way, we are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences. But in this life, in this moment right now, like one day, and it's going to go by somewhat fast. That's the scary thing, is time goes by fast. I know when we do these, we do these plant medicine ceremonies in Costa Rica, we have this all-day transformational experience that's from like 8 in the morning on a Saturday till like 10 at night. It's called Wachuma. It's a cactus medicine, but it's like a heart-opening thing. And when the guy that does it, Wachumero, he says, at the very beginning, he says, we're here right now, but it's going to feel like a blink of an eye, and we're going to be back here in about 12 hours closing out the ceremony. And it is insane how on one hand, time feels like it's not going by crazy fast, but like you blink and you're there at the end of the day. And in a way, I feel like that's what's happening with life. Is every year goes by so fast. Like meditating on the idea that one day we're not going to be here anymore helps us to live more in the present moment right now. Anthony DeMello has a book where he talks about like meditating on death can be a healthy practice. Meditating just on knowing that one day we're going to die will help us live more in this and appreciate more of our life right now because we did choose to be here. Dolores Cannon talks a lot about that in her books. I mean, she actually doesn't talk about it that much at all. The people that come through in her books, they're transcripts of hypnotherapy sessions of thousands of people from all over the world in this deep level of trance that have said, we choose to be here. We wanted so badly to come and to taste the food and to be in nature and to be with Mother Earth. We wanted to be here so bad, but we forget that when we're here. And then we want to get up there. We want to go back to source energy. But if we knew how bad we wanted to be here, we wouldn't be trying to get there so damn bad. So one of the things that I really want to share with this process is it's going to go by fast. Time is going to continue to fly by. And as the planet continues to ascend into a higher level of consciousness, it's like time's going by even quicker. So appreciate life now. And realize that you might keep telling yourself a story, I have so much time to tell this person I love them. I have so much time to go after my passion. I have so much time, but like that story just keeps the time going. And instead of focusing on the future or the past, focus on being here now. And as you do that, as you bring the energy more into the present moment, you will notice more opportunities in your life. You'll notice that things happen more magically. So this is something that's completely transformed my own life, is focusing more on my relationships and also understanding that the things I think are going to bring me a lot of happiness, like the dopamine of like growing a business, making a lot of money and all of these things, in a certain way, it can be somewhat healthy if maybe we're working a 9-to-5 job that we hate and we're like putting going after our passion on the back burner. It can be healthy to have something to goal yourself at. However, what I've learned is now that I've gotten to a place to where I do what I love, I have the freedom I want and the abundance, there's times I realize that I'm chasing the wrong carrot. I'm chasing the money or the notoriety or like the significance, and I just know that's so fickle and it's not fulfilling. And instead, what I'm noticing also as a pattern in the collective consciousness, people that are more so focusing on doing what they love. I watched this video just yesterday from Yes Theory, and this guy, one of the main guys, moved to Paris because he realized that like he'd lost his passion for a lot of the video making process that they were doing before, and kind of being in this little box of like trying to get videos to do well in the YouTube algorithm, and now he's trying to more so find himself again. He's had like a mini identity crisis. And that can happen when we start chasing the wrong carrot. Instead of chasing carrots, we can realize we are the carrot. We are. The experience itself is what's meant to be enjoyed. The journey is meant to be enjoyed. And also, another aspect of this that will really help too with life is the seriousness we give life is sometimes comical. I gotta get this, I need this to happen a certain way, and this control creates so much resistance. But one of the things to realize is that this is a temporary human experience, and that it's kind of like a game. It's meant to be fun. We're meant to enjoy it. And the more that we enjoy life, that is the point. The point is the process. The process is the point, not the end result. So, if we're chasing money, sometimes we might be chasing money because we think that that's going to fill up some emptiness that we feel from our childhood. If we're chasing sex or validation, it's because we're trying to fill up the emptiness that we may feel from our childhood. But if we're focused on really unleashing the most authentic version of ourselves, that may mean more money, that may mean love. But being it from the inside out, that's what really changes everything. So remember, one day, this isn't going to be here anymore. One day, we're going to be in a different state. We're not going to be in these bodies anymore. So we might as well enjoy what we have now. We might as well focus on being present to the moment and becoming as most aware as we can of the unconscious patterns that are keeping us chasing the wrong carrots. And enjoying the process that is here now. Enjoying the relationships that we have here now. And focusing on the relationships we have. And maybe expressing, if there's one thing you get out of this video, can you text or call one person in your life that maybe you kind of fell out of contact with that you deeply love? Just call them and tell them you love them or you appreciate them. And just let them know that. And then comment below what happens when you do that. I do these at the live events that I run, by the way. And we have like vulnerability challenges where people like get vulnerable. And sometimes there's one person you don't want to call. And if you were to call that one person and just tell them that you appreciate them, you don't want anything from them, but you just wanted to express this to them, you'll find that it can heal relationships. You can gain a friendship back, or you could just heal the energy that maybe has been there for so long, keeping that energy in place. My washer or dryer agrees, okay? So realize all of these different things, and it will completely transform your life. Now, if you have any question for me or a scenario that you want me to make a YouTube video about, can you text me at 424-304-0104. I'll go ahead and link up below, but text me your question and I will be responding to those questions plus making YouTube videos about them, and you can let me know what that is. Now also, if you want the 3 main most powerful lessons I've learned from reading thousands of books and spending a lot of money on personal development, watch this video here. In this video, I'm going to save you nearly $250,000 worth of seminars, workshops, masterminds, coaching, everything that I have learned over the past 5 years. I'm going to share with you in 3 powerful lessons, and this video is going to save you time, it's going to save you energy.